Thank you so much for having me here today. This is a nice, beautiful little tableau you created for us here. Sebastians is the name on the place. Your last name is Sebastian.
Yes, my parents, Scott and Patrice Sebastian, met working in a restaurant in the 80s. My mother was front of the house, my father was back of the house. They both started working in restaurants when they were 14. My father actually traveled the country, learning under some of the best chefs across the country in different cuisines in different areas.
So you did grow up kind of seeing food.
I started, my first job was folding napkins. I think I was about 5 years old, 5 cents a napkin. And the going rate then, that was really good.
The building was built in '54 as the Spinning Wheel Restaurant.
Correct.
And that's before me. I don't know. When did that stop?
So it was the Spinning Wheel until we took over until December of '99. It was a staple. One of my favorite photos, we have a photo of all of the old classic cars out front with our trees being super tiny. That's really a treasure photo.
How would you describe the architecture here? What does it feel like in here? I mean, it kind of makes, it's
People ask
obviously
me,
like lodgy, kind of North Woodsy.
yeah, so
lodgy.
it was built as a restaurant.
It was.
And so a lot of people ask, was it a former barn, things like that.
Yeah.
One of the
you
things,
see exposed raptors.
right? So one of the things that's really interesting is that the family that owned the Spinning Wheel at the time, their previous restaurant burned down, and so then they built this as the restaurant. But what's really interesting, they had a great relationship with the mill, old mill, and the woodworking. So that's how they were able to get a lot of, so if you'll notice in the bar, we have wide plank cedar, we have cypress wood in the north room. So they had that connection. So a lot of this wood you wouldn't have been able to get.
Fine dining's in your name. What does fine mean to you today?
Really, when you're talking about fine dining and a fine dining experience, fine means the quality of the hospitality. You know, and when you look at fine, you know, it's like, okay, things are fine, but when it's fine, it is really about that hospitality. So one of the things that we really specialize in are soups. Absolutely incredible, no matter which one it is. We make them from scratch. So one of the ones that we are going to be looking at today is our roasted vegetable soup. Is one of my absolute favorites, and it's also vegan and gluten-free. So that's something that we pay attention to a lot with our menu, especially gluten-free. And I would say almost 90% of our menu is gluten-free. As we were talking about some of our favorite dishes tonight, Drew in the kitchen was preparing our twin tenderloin medallions. Those are coated in peppercorn and served with a brandy Dijon peppercorn cream sauce, served with dauphinoise potatoes and broccolini that is sauteed in ghee. So again, going back to some of the things we were talking about before with dietary restrictions, we use ghee, which is a non-clarified butter, so there's no milk fat in that as well. Gives a better saute. We make our homemade pasta, so we use egg and spinach to make the different linguinis. We make that fresh daily. Sauteed fresh vegetables, and then we roast our own duck legs, almost confit style, and then pull them for that dish as well. Oh, that is so rich, it's so creamy, and it is such a large portion. You can have 3 meals out of it, or 1. You'll also notice on the table, we have one of my favorite premium cabs that we're pouring by the glass right now, which is a brown cab that is from Washington, and the Sebastians Old Fashioned, made with the Driftless Glen bourbon. We did this with bourbon today, not brandy, but we do have both the Driftless Glen bourbon and brandy options. And of course, with the Traverse cherries, got to get the good stuff on there. I entered the Guild of Sommeliers in 2011. So the wine program was really my baby. We elevated that to a whole different level.
Your wine game.
What we have here is better than anything you see in Milwaukee.
Okay, well that's your mark. You wanted to kind of up the wine game.
That was, and it totally is. We've won Wine Spectator Awards. Cool. It's really, really incredible. Again, from the moment you enter the door, from the moment that you're seated, to the experience that you have with your server, with your food, to the intricate details, until the moment you leave.